10 insane laws people had to obey in ancient Rome. 1. It was a crime to wear Tyrian purple. This color was a sign of power. The elite didn't want to blend in with the crowd. The Tyrian purple dye came only from Phoenicia. It was obtained from shellfish. One purple toga required thousands of clams. 2. Women weren't allowed to cry at funerals. A Roman funeral was a special occasion. The deceased was carried through the streets and mourned. The number of mourners reflected the status of the person. Many hired professional mourners. They would literally tear their hair out in grief. As a result, funerals began to turn into performances, so women were entirely banned from crying. 3. Fathers were allowed to kill their daughters' lovers. A man who discovered adultery had to follow a set of steps. First, he'd lock his wife and her lover in the house. Then he had to gather all the neighbors. He had 12 hours to do it. Then he had to describe where and how the adultery occurred. The husband was obliged to file for divorce. If the lover was a slave, he could be killed. If he was a free man, it was more complicated. The husband had to ask the former father-in-law for help. 4. There were female gladiatorial fights. The gladiatrixes were captured and enslaved, just like men. But the first female gladiators weren't prisoners. They were free women, looking for thrills and glory. They fought both staged and real battles. Men were forbidden to fight women. From 11 AD, women could become gladiators at the age of 20. Society often condemned them. 5. Prostitutes had to bleach their hair. In the Roman Empire, almost all women were brunettes. Blondes were considered barbarians. They usually were Gauls. This rule led to unexpected consequences. Roman women got jealous of blondes. They even made wigs out of the slaves' hair. 6. It was illegal to bury victims of lightning strikes. A lightning strike was considered Jupiter's wrath. The body also couldn't be lifted above knee level. The offenders were sacrificed to Jupiter. 7. A father could sell his children into slavery. However, this was a limited opportunity. If he sold his kids 3 times, he was stripped of parental rights. 8. Fathers also had the right to kill their whole family. Even after the kids left home, the rule remained. Girls were still afraid of their fathers after they married. Sons became independent only after their fathers died. This law was changed in the 1st century AD. Afterward, the father was only allowed to kill a family member for crimes. 9. Soldiers were paid in salt. Soldiers had to be worth their weight in salt. The word salary is derived from the Latin word salarium. It's also related to the word salt in Latin. 10. The Senate gave permission to commit suicides. Preparation for suicide was quite routine. Emperors carried poison in case something went wrong. Sick people were encouraged to end their agony. Soldiers, runaways, and slaves were forbidden to commit suicide. At one point, it became a formality. A person who wanted to commit suicide appealed to the Senate. The Senate decided whether or not that person should die. They even offered a free bottle of poison